Well, guys, we've made it to the end of yet another week already, which means it is time for a weekly roundup. For those of you that are new here, the weekly roundup is the part in the week where we gather up a whole bunch of different clips. They don't necessarily touch on any particular topic, but it kind of gives us a way to wind down, maybe touch on a few topics that we didn't get to throughout the week. But first, of course, we've got to start off with our countdown. Donald Trump has already been in office for 15 weeks. I know it feels like 700, but it's only 15. He's got 193 weeks left to go. And of course, for all of you guys who are counting down those days, it is 1,352 days until hopefully the Mango Menace just removes himself from the White House. Now, we talked about a whole bunch of different things this week, whether it was a whole bunch of meetings in the Oval Office for Donald Trump, or whether it was talking about economic calamity possibly heading our way due to all of these insane tariffs. But one of the main things that we did touch on was whether or not Donald Trump is stupid, or if his mental deterioration is just bleeding through a little bit more, or is it both? Let's go ahead and start off with this clip, where he's letting everybody know what is close to his heart. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
You would.
I would.
So you're gonna you want to see a deal.
I'd like to see it done. I have a little sweet spot in my heart because, as you know, I won young people by 36 points. That's a lot. No Republican ever won young people, and I won it by 36 points, and I focused on TikTok. So perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I have a little warm spot in my heart for Tic Tac.
I got a warm spot in my heart for Tic Tac, guys. Now, of course, Donald Trump is just full of shit here. He did not win the youth vote by 36 points. He did better than most other Republicans when it came to the youth vote, but he did not win by 36 points. Kamala Harris still beat him on those young voters. So I don't know what Donald Trump is talking about, but apparently he thinks that TikTok and Tic Tac are interchangeable. Again, is Donald Trump stupid, or is he sundowning? What is going on here? Let's go ahead and move on to our next clip, where they're talking about giving stipends to undocumented immigrants that they want to leave the country.
So if you're an illegal alien, you should download the CBP Home app. It's free on any device, and you can go get a flight that'll be paid for by DHS. And as well, we will give you a $1,000 stipend. Again, that's 70% savings for U.S. taxpayers. It's also safer for the migrant. It is safer for our law enforcement. If you self-deport, you should do so today.
Why should they trust that they would give him priority, Tricia?
There's documentation, and we're giving you our word that we will give you this money and that you can leave today. It's the safest way. You will not be arrested. You will not be detained, and we will give you that free flight.
Now, you actually might be a little bit surprised that I don't think that this is a terrible idea. I don't necessarily love the idea, but when we put it up against, like, rounding people up without any due process and then sending them off to a gulag down in El Salvador, this idea seems a bit preferable to me, but I do have a few questions about it. Where's this money coming from to give all of these undocumented immigrants $1,000 plus their flight home? I do understand that that's going to be much cheaper than, deporting these people one by one, because I think it costs anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 to deport one individual. So, of course, this is going to cost much, much less, but has Congress approved this funding to do that? And my second worry here is, how are these undocumented immigrants supposed to trust you? You have spent your first 3 months in office rounding people up without any due process. In fact, many of the people that the Trump administration has deported were just showing up to their regular hearings, their regular immigration or check-in hearings, and then all of a sudden they find themselves being deported or sent to a gulag down in El Salvador. Why would anybody in hell want to trust the Trump administration that they are actually going to follow through on what they are saying here? So the idea isn't a terrible one. I think if they do it right, maybe it could help a little bit. I don't know how many people are actually going to opt to self-deport when you've had the Trump administration being so brutal towards people who are trying to follow the rules. So I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. But again, I would not trust the Trump administration when it comes to this at all. Let's go ahead and move on to a little bit of geography humor, maybe you could call it.
This institution, as was mentioned, the Gulf of Mexico was so named over 500 years ago. If we want to update that name to reflect our current American culture, Maybe we should rename it the Sea of Emoluments, a place where one can board the ship of fools and navigate from a state of ignorance to the Confederacy of Dunces, because that appears to be where this legislation is heading us.
I just absolutely love this. The Sea of Emoluments, the Confederacy of Dunces. This is just a perfect encapsulation of what the Trump administration is, right? It's a whole bunch of incompetence. It's a whole bunch of chaos. It's a whole bunch of corruption. And this was just perfectly illustrated by these few choice words here. I think that this was absolutely awesome. Obviously, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of weight behind this. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Let's go ahead and move on to this clip where Maria Bartiromo is saying, well, how are we supposed to be able to trust our elected officials?
Is, and the whole thing is unconscionable. How are we supposed to trust our elected leaders if it's all lies because of their, insistence on keeping their grip on power? That's all this is about.
That's a really good question, Maria Bartiromo. And who do you think is in office who is telling the most lies? Which party do you think is trying to spin up a big giant conspiracy bubble for the MAGA movement to live in? Who do you think is doing that? I'm pretty sure it is your party. I'm pretty sure it is your elected leaders that has decided that the truth no longer matters. Donald Trump literally invoked the Alien Enemies Act based on a conspiracy that these TDA gang members were somehow working with Maduro and they were, waging what was the terminology? Unusual warfare against the United States. I mean, Donald Trump lives in a conspiracy bubble, and he is the only one who is trying to hold on to power by using his web of lies to fool the American people. This is your guy, Maria Bartiromo. So you are so close, but you are yet so far away. There's no... These people, they just have no self-awareness. Do they really not understand that she just described Donald Trump to a T? I mean, he's one of the most corrupt and lying individuals that our country has ever seen. And he has built a conspiracy world for the MAGA movement to live in. And he has used that to garner himself more and more power. It is absolutely insane. Let's go ahead and move on to Pam Bondi, who apparently doesn't know what Molly is.
They put this in Xanax. They put this in Adderall. They put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine.
How is it that the top law enforcement officer does not know what Molly is? Molly is not the date rape drug, Pam Bondi. Molly is a party drug that, many young kids might use if they go to a rave or something. How is it that the top law enforcement officer doesn't have a clue? She sounds absolutely clueless when she's talking about this stuff. Yes, people use fentanyl in a whole bunch of different ways. They press it into different pills. It's not good, but at least have your drugs right? I mean, you should at least sound like you know what you're talking about when you're up in front of the American people trying to deliver on some big drug bust or whatever she said here. Let's go ahead and move on to Christine Ohm, who said that maybe AOC should be investigated.
Let me get your reaction, Tom Homan, referring Congresswoman AOC to the Justice Department. She had a webinar, Know Your Rights, and as part of it recommended that illegal immigrants ask for warrants, deploy phones to record ICE searches, tips on how to differentiate between ICE people and others. Is this what you see, and I'm sure you've looked at it, is this aiding and abetting in your view?
I think the Department of Justice absolutely should look into this situation. We've seen not just those that serve in public office be willing to break the law to facilitate the invasion that has happened and allow criminals to stay here. We've also seen judges take radical action to help protect these criminals. It's time that we stand for what's right. The American people are sick of these people abusing our system to try to promote an agenda. And remember, the Democrats are using fear to control people.
What? The Democrats are using fear to control people? What world do you live in? And can you provide any example of that actually being the case? Isn't it the Republicans who are trying to use fear to control people? They're trying to scare everybody about the trans kids or the schools who are going to transgender kids. A whole bunch of nonsense, a whole bunch of fear that motivates people in the MAGA movement. Oh, I'm scared they're going to come take my guns away, even though nobody's really introduced any legislation at all that would go ahead and take my guns. What are you talking about? And think about what they're talking about here, okay? They're talking about AOC holding a seminar of sorts to inform people of their rights. So, yeah, if ICE shows up and they want to get in your face or they want to enter your home, you best be damn sure you need to ask for a warrant. Is that using fear to control people? Are we just not supposed to tell people their rights? Are we supposed to just allow these undocumented immigrants to be treated like subhuman scum? I mean, what is the alternative here? To think that you are going to investigate a member of Congress because she wants to make sure her constituents know their rights. I mean, what a fashy thing to do, right? These people are absolutely disgusting. Tom Homan has been fantasizing about arresting AOC for months now. He continues to bring it up over and over and over again. And AOC is out there saying, come at me, bro. Come at me. We have the First Amendment in this country for a reason. And when we use that First Amendment right to inform others, to educate others about their rights in this country, that is a good thing to do. So yeah, AOC is absolutely right. Come at me, bro. Let's go ahead and move on to this one last clip of Jasmine Crockett. Just a really good example of how using good rhetoric and maybe a catchy name. We'll go ahead and play the clip and then we'll discuss.
So, Miss Goss Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready? Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over $30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing.
Now, I absolutely love this. She used Trump or trans as kind of the hook into her messaging, but this is the type of messaging that we need from more and more Democrats. This is relatable, it's catchy, it is memorable. And of course, Jasmine Crockett went viral for this very clip because not only is she kind of mocking the MAGA movement and their fear of trans people, but she's also calling out some very important things here. Donald Trump has spent at least a quarter of his time on his own properties golfing. He's spending millions upon millions of dollars of taxpayer money so he can go enjoy himself at his own properties. He's gutting the federal workforce. He's firing tens of thousands of federal workers. He's cutting off medical research. So all of these different things that this Trump administration is doing, and it's pointed out in a way that people might actually remember it. And then on top of all that, you've got a hearing here that is focusing on trans athletes in sports when that constitutes what? A dozen people throughout the entire country, and we have a Congress that is focusing on that as one of their top priorities. It's just an abdication of their responsibility, right? Why aren't they focusing on bringing prices down? Why aren't they focusing on strengthening labor rights? Why aren't they focusing on getting pharmaceutical prices down? Why aren't they focusing on getting health care to more people? Instead, you've got the Republicans who have just proposed an $880 billion cuts that has to come from Medicaid, which means there are going to be tens of thousands of people who are going to be kicked off their health care, all because this Republican Party and Donald Trump wants to provide more and more tax cuts to the wealthiest among us. So I absolutely love this messaging. I think we need to see more and more and more of this. Jasmine Crockett is aggressive. She brings the facts day in and day out. And I think she does a really good job of pointing out all of this hypocrisy, all of this, just all of the nonsense that we have to deal with this Republican Party. They come in, they pretend like they're for the people, they pretend that they're a populist party, and then you get in there and they're trying to roll back health care, they're trying to give tax cuts to the wealthiest. I mean, it is all sickening. So we need more Democrats out there who can find new ways to message or catchy ways to message like this, because this is how people learn about what is going on with this incompetent Republican government. So I think we need to see more of this, guys. I already said it 1,000 times, but I do think Jasmine Crockett is onto the right track here, and we need to see more out of more Democrats. So these are the clips that I had for you guys this week. I know it's only been 15 weeks of this new Trump administration. It has been an absolute disaster. We are seeing an economy that is we're kind of just waiting for it to fall, seeing when we're going to get those bad indicators start to roll in. Donald Trump pretended like he got a deal with UK this week, although it was only some framework of a deal. I mean, it's really quite pathetic what this administration is doing. They aren't really focusing on the things that matter to the American people, and it's only a matter of time before people start to notice this at their grocery stores. As we talked about recently, that we're expecting a 35% drop in our shipping ports coming within the next week or two, which means people are really going to start to feel this in our economy. And then those effects, those 35% decreases in those products coming in, that's going to start to trickle out throughout the entire economy. So again, we're just bracing for impact at this point. We will definitely keep you updated on all of the happenings and all of the incompetence and the chaos in this new administration. But I hope that everybody out there has a good weekend, and we will see you guys next week. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for this MAGA movement every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how Donald Trump's polling is falling off of a cliff now that we have seen him in office for these first few months, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.